This is gonna be a rant. This is gonna be a really undisciplined rant. But I'm gonna try and make it as cohesive as possible. While that asshole roams all around in my business. Get out the closet. All right, I had to let my cat out and take my glasses off. The glare was just, it was bothering me, and he was bothering me. Okay, so this video is being shot on my bedroom floor because my living room is just not, it's not a good place for me to shoot right now, because my husband and my stepson are home and they're just meandering in and out, and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. I promised you guys a video about Britta Lundin's Ship It, a book that I absolutely loved and wanted to spend more time talking about because it really just resonated with me, and it just made me feel all the feels, and I absolutely just loved it, and I just wanted to dedicate a little bit more time to talking about it. Like I said before, I am not an essayist. I'm good at debating, like, face to face, and explaining myself and my position and my beliefs and, you know, how I feel, and doing great research. Just not in this medium. I'm more of a paper kind of bitch. Like, I can write a good dissertation and I could give you face to face a good read, but I don't know. I don't think I have the wherewithal, the bandwidth to do it within this platform on YouTube. So this is just gonna be a raw analysis. We're just raw dogging this. Let's get into it. This book right here are my notes. So sometimes if you see me glance down or refer to it, there we go. These notes are just chicken scratch. So just of points I wanted to hit. It's nothing. It is not an outline. It is not an outline. But I just wanted to let you know, if you catch me looking down or I grab the book, and you know, this is what I'm referring to. The book is about shipping, particularly slash shipping. I will put rough definitions of those at the bottom of the screen, because like, if I just try to piecemeal a definition of my own volition out there with these rough ass notes, it's not gonna come out right. It's gonna be bad. I have a very lovely history with slash shipping. I'm trying to remember the first like slash ship I ever had, and I think, honest to God, it was the TV show Oz. Oz started me slash shipping, and that is not a good show to start off with slash shipping or any kind of shipping. If you know anything about the show Oz, you know that there should not be any couples on that show that you were rooting for. Like, my God. But I was young and new to shipping and fandom and all of that, and I discovered the TV show Oz, and I discovered Beecher and Keller, the most toxic fucking ship you could ever ship on the planet. Like I said, it's not a good ship. It was not a ship to ever be shipped. It is not where anyone should start with slash ships. I'm just saying that, you know, I was young, I was brand new to slash shipping. It was Beecher and Keller, though, honest to God, were probably the reason I shipped them. Honestly, was probably the first time I've seen like queer relationships on screen like that, just so open, just like, you know, no fade to black, and just, you know, just implying like it was out there that they were a couple on this show. However, despicable and toxic they were. So I think that's kind of why I gravitated towards Keller and Beecher on Oz, because I had access to it and it was new to me. It was just at first, admittedly, it was shocking, but then after a while I was just kind of like, wow, this is interesting. That long unnecessary rant is just to tell you that I have been shipping for a very long time before I even knew what that was, or what it could be, and what it eventually became, and before there was even a name for it. Pre-internet, pre-forums, pre-fanfiction.net. God, back when there was like Angel Fire. Pre-AO3, pre-LiveJournal, all of that. Pre-Tumblr. Pre-language in which we can use to define these terms. And my first slash ship was unfortunately about a serial killer and his abuse victim. I know. But since about 2012, I've been involved in several ships, and it got really intense in 2014. If you were on 2014 Tumblr, hello, hi fam, how are you? Do you miss it? Because I do. It was peak internet. It was peak shipping. It was peak everything. TikTok is just 2014 Tumblr, which is probably why I'm addicted to it. It's probably why I love it. But yes, I got heavily involved in fandom in 2012, and it just exploded in 2014. I understood that I was navigating a part of fandom that was really niche, and it developed into this very tight-knit, close community that we protected. And nowadays you tell people you ship something, that you write fanfic, that you read fanfic, people don't even bat a fucking eyelash. And I have been living for this day since 2012. It's been since 2012 that I was just kind of like, oh, I just can't wait for the day where we can just be open about this shit, where it's just not even a fucking thing. And here we are, and I love it. And that's all due to millennials just stopping giving a fuck, and Gen Z Zoomers never giving a fuck. And I love that. I fucking love that. But yeah, from 2012 to 2014, those 2 years, I was just pretty much a lurker. I was a guest on AO3, just reading stuff. And then after a while, I was like, I am a writer. I was like, what am I doing just reading other people's fanfic? Not that that's not great. I absolutely love reading other people's fanfic. I stay up late still reading other people's fanfic. But I was just kind of like, why am I not writing it? But like, when you want something specific and tailored to you, to your interest, that's when I think you kind of have to realize, oh, I need to write it. And that's how I started writing fanfic in 2014. That's kind of been my background as far as shipping and fandom and all that kind of stuff. As far as the actual ships that I ship, we're going to start with my number 1, which is Stucky. Number 2, Steric. Number 3, Dream Husbands. Number 4, Spidey Pool. Number 5, Heartwind. Number 6, I would say John Blake and Bane, which was birthed out of Dream Husbands. Who else do I absolutely love that I read? Cherik, I absolutely love Cherik. I ship them all day, every day. West Allen. Quick note about West Allen. I don't watch The Flash. I tried to watch it. It's not a bad show. It's actually really cute. It's just something I've never kept up with. It's one of those shows where I'm always glad that they're successful, even though I have no hand in being a part of that success as a fan, as a watcher. Because everybody on that show just seems like they're having a great time, that they love their work, and that they love each other. And I think that's awesome. I started shipping West Allen because I started seeing all the discourse online about West Allen. And if you know anything about West Allen, you know about the discourse of West Allen. And the discourse being racist bitches. And it was just me feeling like the ship needed backup, you know? Just feeling like, you know what, even though I don't watch the show, even though I don't know their love story, I appreciate it, and somebody needs to jump in this fight and fight these racist ass girls and boys or whoever. But yeah, West Allen, my love for West Allen is just birthed out of a need to defend the characters and the actors who play them, and the seemingly wonderful job they do doing that. Did I say Spidey Pool? Because I love me some Spidey Pool. You know what's the best thing about Spidey Pool? Ryan Reynolds shipping Spidey Pool. I only recognize one Spider-Man, and that's Tom Holland. So yes, I do ship underage Tom Holland's Peter Parker Spider-Man with Deadpool. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I don't know what to tell you. And I do have a sapphic ship that I love, and that is Supercorp. Once the show had moved from CBS to CW, I kind of lost interest. I lost interest because I realized Supergirl wasn't a great show. Then Supercorp became a thing. Once Kara and Lena Luthor started becoming shipped, and I started seeing like the fan art and the GIF sets and the fanfic all up on Tumblr, I was like, oh, okay, I might have to get back into Supergirl. Like, I can get down with this. Yeah, and I like Katie McGrath. I love her. I followed her career since Merlin. Like, so when she popped up on Supergirl and in this sapphic slash ship with, you know, Melissa Benoist. I'm mispronouncing it. I know I am. I apologize. But I was just kind of like, all right, I might have to get back into the show. And then Comic-Con 2017 happened, where the cast, with the exception of Katie McGrath, were utterly disrespectful to journalists and fans who asked about the ship. I remembering the whole thing going down on Twitter. I remember the stupid song they made up. I remember Mehcad Brooks supposedly telling Katie McGrath to shut up in Italian, or calling her stupid or something in Italian, or at least that was the rumor. And I remember all the fucking apologies they had to make after that, especially, and this is the part that I loved, especially when I think it was either the creator or showrunner or both, or of Winona Earp went on Twitter and was just kind of like, what you guys did was rude and disrespectful and mean to fans, and there was no need for that. And I remember the Melissa Benoist going into hiding after that, and then just, you know, her co-stars making all types of apologies, and Mehcad Brooks being defensive. Like, once all that like happened, I was like, okay, no. Okay, no. And I remember fans going off on them and defending the fuck out of Katie McGrath because she was the only one with any goddamn manners, and she was the only one who genuinely seemed to really care about the fans and them liking the ship and loving it, and it being the reason why they were still going strong, because that show was on the bubble for the longest time. Supergirl was on the fucking bubble. As far as I know, it's still on a bubble. Is it canceled? Is Supergirl canceled? Does she just pop up on, like, you know, the other CW superhero shows? I don't know. But I mean, when your show's on CBS and it gets moved to fucking CW, you need to shut up. You need to shut up, and whatever fandom is watching your show, embrace. That was not the way to go. And so that's when I was like, no, I don't want to be in this fandom. But that doesn't mean that I can't ship those two. So occasionally I'll search for a nice little fanfic about them, or, you know, see some fan art or whatever. That leads me into talking about getting that this long ass rant leads me into finally getting around to talking about Britta Lundin's Ship It. So I'm going to summarize the book really quick. So the book is about Claire, who is I think she's either 15 or 16, 15. She's a 15-year-old sophomore in high school at a school in Idaho, and it's in a very rural area. She has these very hippie liberal parents who, you know, have their rules about television and everything, but for the most part, they're just very open-minded and very caring and loving people. I think it's funny throughout the book, though, that Claire occasionally gets annoyed with them, but then she checks herself because she realizes she has good parents. Like, oh, my mom's so annoying. But then she just goes, but she's great. So there is a convention, a con happening in Boise, Idaho, which is a couple of hours away from where she lives in Idaho. And she begs and begs and begs her mother to take her because Claire is part of the Demon Heart fandom, and she is a shipper of the two lead characters played by an actor named Forrest and another actor named Rico. Rico plays a demon and Forrest plays a demon hunter named Smokey, and their ship name is called Smokeheart or Smoky Heart. I think it's Smoky Heart. And not only is Claire just a part of the fandom, but she's kind of a BNF. She doesn't really see it that way, but as the book progresses, you kind of realize, oh, she is a big name fan. She is a BNF within this fandom. She writes fanfic for the show. She engages in the meta and the discourse a little bit. She doesn't get involved in any of the infighting, but she just, she feels as though she does her thing and she goes about her business, and then that's it. But she does have a sizable fandom on fanfiction sites and on Tumblr. So she goes to this convention in Boise, Idaho. She's so super excited to be there. She just, can't wait for the panel for Demon Heart to start. And she meets Tess, a young black girl who's, I think, 16, who goes to school in Seattle, my neck of the woods. And they get to know each other, and they end up flirting, and then they end up discovering that Claire ends up discovering that she kind of likes her, and Tess is very open about how much she likes her, and they spend some time there. Tess is driving from con to con to con. So she drove up to Boise, she's going to drive to Portland, then she's going to drive to Seattle, and there's cons in each of those cities that she's traveling through. And she's sleeping in her car as she does this. I don't know what 16-year-old black girl's mom is letting her do this, but okay, suspension of disbelief. The panel happens in Boise, and Claire is super excited. She's waiting for... So Claire has no intention to ask a question once they start doing like the Q&A for the panel. She has like no intention of doing it. However, she starts getting frustrated when she realizes that there's other Smoky Heart fans there, but like nobody's really asking the actors like the questions about this fandom, and not, like, are they ever going to be canon? What do you guys, how do you deal with like the sexual tension between the actors? Like, she has like these legit questions about how the show is going to progress in that way, and it's not getting answered. So Claire's just like, fuck it. So she goes up to the mic and she asks, is Smoky Heart ever going to be canon, and am I ever going to get the queer representation that I see in this show and I long for in this show that I love? And Forrest, who plays Smokey on the show, is blown away by the question. He cannot believe that Claire and other girls and other fans like her believe that his character and Rico's character are gay, first of all, and he can't even believe where they would even get the idea that they would be a couple on the show. And he just berates her in front of everyone and calls her crazy and laughs at her, and it killed me to read that. And it just hurt, because I feel like that's every fangirl's like nightmare. You're just kind of like, you ask about the thing you care the most about the show, and you just get laughed at by some rich celebrity about it. And so, and Claire is just devastated. Like, there's tears in her eyes, she's crying, she's upset because he just humiliated her in this room full of people at a con, and like people have their phones out and they're recording it, and it's going viral online. So Claire runs out of the place. And the PR woman for the show, Donna, lays into Forrest. She's just like, are you out of your fucking mind? And he just can't see what he did wrong. He's just like, what? Like, she asked if the characters were gay and they were gonna hook up. Like, where does she get that? Why would she even think that? That's stupid. She's crazy. She's a child. Blah, blah, blah. And they just lay into him. And apparently, Forrest was unaware of something that the rest of the cast and crew of the show and the behind the scenes people were aware of. The show has a huge fangirl following, and that following ships his character with Rico's character. Rico is described in the book as like this C-list actor who's, you know, hopped from show to show, and he's been to these cons a million times, and he just loves it, and he has such a great time when he's there, and he loves interacting with fans. Forrest is more standoffish and just doesn't know how to react. He's new to celebrity. Like, this is his first real big job that he's ever gotten on this show, and in addition to that, he hears these rumors about this video game, I think called Red Zone, that he absolutely loved, being turned into a film, and he wants nothing more on this planet than to play the lead. But apparently Chris Pratt is eyeing the project, and he's on this like CW type supernatural show, so he doesn't think he's going to get it, but you know, he still wants to vie for it. So Forrest is in his own world about his own career and like the trajectory of it and everything, and Rico is living in the moment, and he's just, you know, he's the guy that appreciates all of this and loves it. The creator of the show, Jamie Davies, is aware of, you know, the fandom, the fangirls that ship the two main leads. He knows of them. It's just Forrest is kept in the dark. Katie, who is their social media manager for the show, she's aware of it too, because she's, you know, she dabbles in fandom a little bit, as you find out through the book. She you know, she's not only abreast of these things that are happening, but she supports it. And in her support, she's also been a member of certain fandoms, so she gets it. So she which is one of the reasons why she ends up really understanding Claire a lot and her motivations and her actions, even though she may or may not approve of them, and even though she sometimes encourages them, for better or for worse. But Forrest is the only one just in the dark, so he's just shocked that he's being reamed a new asshole by Donna, and that, you know, studio executives and producers are just, you know, pissed that this happened, and blah blah blah. So Donna comes up with this brilliant idea of trying to remedy the situation, fix it, because it is blowing up all over online. Donna creates a fake contest in which they pretend that Claire has won a chance to go on the rest of the con tour with the actors. As they go to Portland and Seattle, and she and her mother will be put up in, like, you know, the nicest hotels with the actors as they do this, and her job is just to help with positive engagement of the show online. Claire immediately wants to do it, and it's because she has her own motivations for doing it. She's such a smart character. She immediately figures out exactly what they're doing, and she's just kind of like, well, no, I have my own motivations. And her motivations is to get Jamie Davis to see and understand and appreciate the Slash ship, and to possibly make it canon. That is her goal. Claire could care less about Forrest. Her goal is Jamie. Her goal is the showrunner. Her goal is the creator of the show. Her goal is to get that person in a room, talk to them, and hopefully get her ship being made canon, or to at least discuss with them the possibility of that happening, or why it can and cannot happen. But Jamie spends a whole tour trying to avoid the fuck out of her, and Forrest spends most of the tour trying to get to know her and, you know, fix his reputation, because this viral thing is also affecting him being considered for that video game movie that he wants desperately. The book follows Claire on her mission to make the voices of fangirls, Slash shippers, Smoky Heart shippers heard and understood and appreciated. remember I said Supergirl is a show that's always on the bubble, always on the cusp of being canceled? That's a huge thing in the book with Demon Heart. Like, they don't know if they'll be back for a second season. That's also another reason why Donna, the PR person, flipped her shit on Forrest. She's like, we're trying to get a second season and you're shitting on the fans? Like, are you crazy? You made a 15-year-old girl cry and run out of a panel and it's all over the internet? Have you lost your mind? It's them to not just make her ship canon on it, but she also, what she really truly wants for the showrunner Jamie Davis is to acknowledge that there's something there between the actors, the characters that's on the screen, and it's not insane to think that that can't be a part of the show. The book is it is very much a fangirl fantasy. It is very much a slash shipper fantasy in that there are things that Claire, you know, gets to express and gets to do and gets to, you know, she gets to push that I felt as somebody who's been frustrated in fandom before because of these exact same issues. You can make arguments about her being very selfish and having a one-track mind and opportunist in her motivations, but I think the reason why I did, even though I see that those are, you know, flashes of those in her personality, I don't necessarily find her to be a bad person. I think she's actually a really great person, a really fantastic character, a really great voice for fangirls who, especially fangirls who've been involved in slash shipping. The reason I guess I don't feel as though she's this horrible person and what she's doing, or just as bad as the people she's doing it to, is because those people are worse. And you find out through the book exactly how worse they can be, especially the showrunner Jamie Davies. So the book is told back and forth between Claire and Forrest's point of view. I actually really love that. I didn't think I would. Once Forrest had humiliated her like that, I did not want anything to do with him. But it was really good kind of trying to figure out where he was coming from, why he didn't see it the way she saw it, why as an actor he was offended by her question and by the core of their fandom to begin with these girls who just want to watch him and this and Rico kiss. Rico's a great character. Rico is, like I said, he is the guy that has been doing this for so long, and he knows how important and how incredible fans are. It takes Forrest a while to realize that. It unfortunately takes a fan crying to him about how much she means to him, and or his character means to her, and her growth as a person, and her, you know, sexuality. But, you know, Rico's just always there. He loves this stuff. I wouldn't say he encourages it, but he gets it. He gets it in a way that it takes Forrest the whole book to fucking get. And he's just always fun-loving and great, and he's always just very lovely to Claire. And she adores him, and he's just, and he understands the position he's in. You know, he may be some C-list actor on this, you know, mediocre CW type show that may or may not get canceled, but he understands that he's also in this really glorious position. You know, he's still a rich guy that gets to be on TV, and, you know, when you're a rich guy that gets to be on TV, why not have fun with it? Why not be open and accepting? Why not go to cons and take all the pictures you can and sign all the autographs you can and answer all the questions you can? And why not love and appreciate these people who, you know, like I said, keep you fed, keep you off the streets, who watch your show and love and appreciate your characters and what you do as an actor. So Rico fucking gets it. Tess hides her involvement in fandom. Remember when I said I used to hide my involvement in fandom? Like, it took me 2 years to just, like from 2012 to 2014. I was just a lurker, and you know, I kept my involvement in fandom very secret until probably about 2018. Even though I was just a lurker until 2014, it wasn't probably until like 2018 that I just full on was like, yeah, I write fanfic. I write fanfic, I read fanfic, I ship the fuck out of two hot dudes making out. Tess is that person. Tess, she loves this fandom and this ship just as much as Claire does, but she's not as public and open about it. And her not being as public and open about it allows her to sympathize more with Forrest, which bothers Claire. And so they have these tiffs every now and again. There is this one big fight they get into where they're both bitches. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe the two of you did that to each other. But Tess does eventually explain to Claire why she's like that, why this is her reaction to the fandom. And I thought it was a fantastic explanation. I thought Britta Lundin did a great job of, like, you know, explaining that Tess is a black girl who lives in a predominantly white city and goes to a PWI. She goes to a predominantly white high school, and she has a majority white friends, and she already is a part of two marginalized groups. She's a woman and she's black, and then on top of that, she feels like she can't vocally express this weird thing that she loves and she's a part of. She already feels like she's a bit of an outsider. Claire discovers that she's a very popular girl at her school, and she runs within this popular clique, and Tess feels like she can't do that she wouldn't be able to have the friends that she has and the slightly easier life that she lives if she exposed, you know, her fan art. That's the thing. And Claire's a fan fiction writer. Tess is a fan artist, and you know, her love for the show, so she keeps it hidden. That's why she's sleeping in her car and secretly going to these cons, and none of her friends know. Jamie Davies, who I want to call Jeff Davies so bad. Jeff Davis. That name is too close to Jeff Davis. Like, that's the thing about this book too I love the most. There are some not so subtle, thinly veiled parallels. The show's called what, fucking Demon Heart? Pretty much it's supernatural. You have Rico, who's pretty much Misha Collins. You have Forrest, who is Jensen Ackles. Like, let's be real. That I wasn't in the supernatural fandom. I did not ship Destiel, but I remember when Jensen Ackles snapped at that girl at a con during a panel when she asked him a question about his character's sexuality, and he and Misha Collins' characters about Destiel, and he snapped at her so bad that he turned the fans in a room against her, and I was just kind of like, are you fucking kidding me? I fucking remember that. And when that happened in the book, that was my first thought. I was like, oh yeah, I totally remember. But when Jensen Ackles did that. But you could also make a parallel between all the times Tyler Posey got pissed off. People were asking about Steric, and yeah, and the numerous times John Locke got brought up, and the creators of that show. I remember in the beginning, I remember after seasons 1 and 2 that the creators of that show of Sherlock played with, I remember them queer baiting on like panels and during Q&As and stuff. I remember them like teasing it and thinking it's funny and oh so cute, but then once that became the dominant conversation, every time that they were in interviews and stuff like that, they started getting testy about it. Showrunner character in Ship It, whose name is very similar to Jeff Davis, who is the creator of and showrunner of Teen Wolf. Then there's also, oh my god, there's their parallel of a saying that two of the characters have between each other that is very stucky. Where is it? Here we go. I'll stay with you. says one. Okay, so how it usually goes is Forrest says, "I'll stay with you," and then Rico goes, "Till the dirt hits my chest." I'll stay with you until the dirt hits my chest. If that ain't, I'm with you until the end of the line. Oh my god. Claire is very, she's had past relationships with boys, but hasn't really been too fond of them. She's very open to a relationship with Tess. She's very, she doesn't necessarily struggle with her attraction to women. She struggles with how to label her attraction to women. She doesn't necessarily, or she's not ready yet to call herself a lesbian or gay. So throughout the book, there's kind of the struggle with that, especially given Tess is very, you know, she knows exactly who she is. She knows what labels to stick on herself, and that's it. And Claire finds that a little intimidating, and that's a great conversation and a great interesting aspect of her character. And the reason I love the most about that too is that she also kind of tries to hide it a little bit from Forrest and Jamie Davies and Jamie Davies. And I totally get why. The minute Tess is introduced and it's established that she and Claire have this attraction to each other, and knowing what the book is about, I immediately understood why Claire would try to hide her sexuality, because that's immediately how I felt reading it. I was just kind of like, oh no, if they find out that she's attracted to other women, it's going to turn into, you just want these characters to be gay because you're gay, or you just want these characters to be gay because you have a hard time dealing with the fact that you're gay. And that ends up being a conversation, a fight actually, that happens between her and Forrest in the book. And I just think that's just such a dismissive and gross way to look at it. I am a cis-het woman and I ship the fuck out of a lot of dudes together. I totally get the minute someone finds out your sexuality, they want to use that as a cause. It's the same thing as if, you know, as a black person, I raise issues about things that are concerning to people of color, and then you immediately dismiss me as, well, you just want that because you're a part of that marginalized group. No, even if I wasn't a part of that group, I'd still want it. I'd still demand it, and I still feel like I fucking deserve it, you know? Even reading about Rico and Forrest's relationship, you do get this hint of there being that their relationship has a slight romantic element to it. They have a closeness and an intimacy. And I get it. Why can't bros be friends? Myself and other fangirls who slash ship, we want that. We want to see more intimate relationships between men, more intimate friendships, I should say, between men. We want to see them be friends the way women are friends, with this openness and this caring and sensitivity. And I think we're moving towards that. However, that doesn't, those two things can't exist. They can't, we're not saying that the relationship, you can't have one without the other. We're saying we want both, but we're also saying that this relationship comes across as romantic to us. I don't think I'm being clear. I think I'm butchering it. Let me show you 2 videos from a TikToker who explains it way better, far better than I ever could. So check out these 2 videos and then we'll come back.
If you're a Marvel fan, you might have seen some of the discourse relating to Anthony Mackie and his latest interview. If not, there's a lot of good videos circulating on TikTok right now that explain the situation, but I'm just here to give my 2 cents for a little bit. Basically, in that interview, Anthony Mackie made the point that it is very difficult for 2 male main characters to just be friends. But it was worded in a god-awful way, and it hurt a lot of people, myself included. But here's the thing, he does have a point. There is very much a problem of over-fetishization of male relationships in media. But the problem lies not in shipping 2 male characters romantically. In my opinion, the problem lies in 3 distinct elements, and if we can eliminate those elements, the problem should alleviate itself. Number 1, there is an underrepresentation of healthy male platonic relationships in media, especially ones that include physical touch and emotional bonding. Number 2, there is an underrepresentation of queer relationships in media. If you give us representation, we won't need to look for it in places where it doesn't exist. And number 3 is the underrepresentation of well-fleshed out female characters. It happens way too often that there is a male character that has a female love interest that just barely exists. In opposition, the male characters in that same show are oftentimes far more fleshed out, and we can relate to them more. If we relate this back to The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there is a very distinct reason why a lot of people don't see Sarah and Bucky being a thing and instead focus on Sam and Bucky. That is because, as much as I love Sarah as a character, she has no plotline outside of Sam's sphere of influence. The only times she appears on screen is when Sam is around, or like when Carly called her to talk about Sam. Her plotline with the boat is also Sam's plotline. She has nothing on her own. Simply put, we don't know shit about Sarah, but we do know shit about Sam, which is why Sam is much more likely to be shipped with Bucky than Sarah. And just a question, what was John Walker's wife's name again? Oh right, she doesn't have one. That being said, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a great show, and you can rip it out of my cold dead hands. That doesn't mean there isn't room for improvement. And that goes for a lot of media. In part 2, I'll show you the other side of the coin, a show that does it right. So we have our 3 elements: the representation of healthy male platonic relationships, the representation of queer relationships, and the representation of well-fleshed out female characters. There is one show that I can really recommend that does at least 2 out of 3 of these categories really well. That show is BBC's The Musketeers, which is a really fun historic drama. Just 4 out of 5 of the female love interests for the Musketeers that we see are fully fleshed out characters with their own storylines. That being Milady, Sylvie, Queen Anne, and Constance. We get to spend time with these women. They have their own goals, their own motivations, their own values, and they exist independently. The 4 Musketeers themselves, Athos, Porthos, Aramis, and D'Artagnan, are physically very intimate. The 4 of them are really good friends and just show that through their interactions. There's teasing, but they never take it too far. There's some roughhousing, and there's physical intimacy, like putting their hand on each other's shoulders or slapping each other's back or stuff like that. And they also show emotional bonding between these characters right from the start. The only thing that's absent is, visible queer representation. One could argue that it's, the 17th century and blah blah blah, but I'm pretty sure gay people existed back then. There is some shipping. There is the Porthamus ship, which is kind of popular, but there isn't nearly as much queer shipping as in any of the other fandoms that I've been in. Conclusion: accurate representation does the trick. Always. Period.
Do I think Chris Evans and Sebastian Stan are very attractive men and would love to watch them make out and smash as Captain America and Bucky? Yeah, of course. That is me openly admitting to my fetishization of my slash ships. I'm just gonna be honest and put that out there. But also, there has always been this other thing about me being involved in slash ships that I haven't been able to articulate well, and why I engage in slash ships. They said it perfectly, in that female characters are so underdeveloped that you can't attach to them emotionally a lot of the time. You can't see yourself, and you can't root for them, and you don't connect. You can't connect to them. But male characters are always established. They're always 3-dimensional. So it's easier to latch onto them. And then when you have more than one 3-dimensional male character and they have a bond or a closeness with another character who, is 3-dimensional, it's easier to connect. And then on top of that, they have this intimacy, whether it's romantic or not. You can latch onto that, and you can see that and you begin to ship it romantically. The lack of good female representation allows and enables women like myself to also get involved in these fandoms and these slash ships and these male-male relationships. And then you add queer baiting on top of that, and then you also add a need for representation, not just female representation, but queer representation, something I want. Even as a straight person, I want to see everyone on this planet get their shine. You know, it's not that hard to see how women end up in that. It's not that hard to see how it goes beyond fetishization. It's not just me thinking that these two people would look fantastic fucking, even though they would. It's just, you haven't given me anything else to connect to. I like Peggy. I like Peggy Carter. But there's also not that much to her enough for me to connect to. But Bucky, I totally get and understand. And Steve's the main character, so he is fleshed the fuck out. And not only that, I can also see how if Bucky were a woman, this relationship would totally be romantic. And you can't deny that. So yeah, I've never been able to properly articulate why it goes beyond just thinking these two dudes are sexy and I'd like to see them make out aggressively. Also the fact that I, as a woman, am not giving enough female characters to latch onto and connect with, and therefore I've got no choice but to bond with the characters that are, and those characters are usually male. And when they have an intimate relationship with another male on the show or in the movie, and then you have people, the powers that be, queer baiting on top of that, it is easy. It is very easy to suddenly see that relationship as romantic and to want it to be romantic. Absolutely right about Three Musketeers. I did not ship a single male with another male on that show because all the women were three-dimensional, well-established characters. Those videos, accurate, A+. Thank you so much for posting those, and I'm glad I got to share them, and please follow them. There is their TikTok handle, so go show them some love. There is a very climactic point in the book between Claire and Jamie that I am not going to spoil whatsoever, but just know that it is incredible. Like I said, this book is a fangirl fantasy. It is a fangirl slash shipper fantasy. It's all the things you wish you could do and say and engage in with the actors and creators of the show, and all the things that you wish fandom would rise up and do, and, you know, show their collective power. It's, you know, while also still remaining, you know, grounded as well. But yeah, there is that scene between her and Jamie is just amazing, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but when it comes up, it's just great, and it's terrifying and amazing, and it's good. It's got the validation that, you know, as someone who's been involved in a lot of slash ships, it's just like, oh yeah, I know it. Claire's a shake the table kind of bitch. And spoken and also very much hovers around as a theme throughout the book is that these people need us more than we need them. They need fans to stay alive. And that's very much interpreted through Forrest and the rest of these characters. Like I said, like, they don't know if they're coming back for a season 2, and then Forrest goes out here and goes viral for yelling at a 15-year-old girl and making her cry because she asked a question about a ship on the show. And he's also vying for this huge acting gig against Chris Pratt, who's a well-known actor, and he's just this dude on this CW Supernatural ripoff. Like, fans will make or break you. If your horribleness as a human stops people from engaging in your art, then you got nothing. And Claire knows that and uses it in her tactics in order to progress through her motivations, and I love that. That's where the selfishness and entitlement comes from, but also the realness and the accuracy as well. And like I said, and you know what? I just realized these fandoms that I've been a part of that have disrespected fans, they went out with a whimper, not a bang. But yeah, don't ever mistake us needing these shows and movies more than they need us, because that's not true. And you know, Britta Lundin does a really good job of using Claire as a mouthpiece for a lot of things, and a lot of themes, and a lot of anger and hurt and disappointment and love and appreciation, and all the good, the bad, and the ugly it comes with being in a fandom and being a fangirl in particular of something. All in all, I love this book. I felt so seen. I felt appreciated. I felt understood by the author and what she created here. From what I understand, Britta Lundin she's a writer for the CW show Riverdale. Is a TV writer, novelist, comic book writer. She's also a comic book writer. She currently writes on the CW hit show Riverdale. A longtime fan fiction reader and writer, she can track her life milestones by what she was shipping at the time. Oh, and she's from my area. She's from the Pacific Northwest, but she lives in Los Angeles currently with her wife. This bitch was on Tumblr in 2014. I will be told no different. I will be told no different. This book really, even at my old ass 30-something-year-old age, touched me. Touched my heart. It said all the things I wish I could say. It did all the things I wish I could have done. And it is lovely and beautiful. So thank you, Britta Lundin, for writing that book. Thank you guys for being here and listening to me rant about this. I don't know if I'll ever be doing this again, because this was a lot. This is a lot to be talking about. I mean, I don't know how long I've been sitting here talking about this damn book. But it's been a while because I'm hungry. I'm very much hungry. But yeah, thank you guys for stopping by, listening to this. Please leave any comments or questions or concerns you have below. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with a nice piece of fan art. Someone drew a very lovely piece of fan art, and I'll credit them as well in the video, of Claire and Tess, and that's exactly how I picture them. That's exactly how I picture them. It's adorable. I love it. It's fucking cute. But yeah, for the millionth time, thank you. I'll see you guys next time. Do not forget to pay your library fines. Those things add up. And we'll chat again soon. Have a good night. Bye.